was like it was talking about like country X and country Y.
You're talking
like
about on
grains.
the
test,
quiz?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, country X and country Y. Give me more of the question, and I can maybe figure out which question it
It
is.
said that country X is a major buyer of country Y's grains. Assume country X's government announced an increase in taxes on its imports of country Y's grains effective next month. How will this news likely affect the demand for grains in country X?
All right, let me see. You don't know what question number it was, do you, or did you just write it down?
I don't know what question number it was. No.
It's okay. See if it'll let me scroll through this way. Here we go. Okay, this one. Country X is a major buyer of country Y's grains. If country X's government announces an increase in taxes on its imports of country Y's grains effective next month, how will this news likely affect demand for grains in country X? It will increase now. All right, so what this is if you go back to your determinants of
the expectations, right?
Of demand, it's the expectation of future prices. So if you think that the price is going to go up later, then you're going to buy more now.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer.
I just didn't know for sure because it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, there's a question almost identical. So there's a question almost identical to this on the test that says that you expect that prices will go up in the future. What will happen to demand now? It may actually be a supply question that says the price of your inputs will go up in the future. What happens to your supply now? So if you're a demander and you expect prices to go up in the future, you're going to buy more now. If you're a producer and you expect the price of your inputs to go up later, you will produce more now because you don't want to pay the higher price for your inputs to produce your product later.
Okay.
Does that help?
And then, yeah. The last one I was confused on was like talking about household income falling. And there's like the cost of construction materials going higher.
Let me see.
Yeah, that one. You just
this is
it?
about,
no,
not this one?
The one before this.
This one?
I thought I just saw it. No. I got that one I missed.
Okay, well, let's look at this one because a bunch of people missed this one.
Yeah.
So two nations sign a trade agreement expecting to enjoy mutual gains from the trade of a certain good. How will this event likely affect the supply of the good in the two nations? All right. Remember when we did comparative advantage? And we talked about our production possibilities curve, but if each country traded based on their comparative advantage, what happened to their consumption possibilities, the amount of that good that they could have in their country goes up. So if two countries trade based on comparative advantage, the supply will increase in both countries.
Yeah, I just saw that. I saw that when I was like, okay, it's not price. So
that was tricky. There's not a question that's really similar to that on the test. You'll have to figure out comparative advantage on the test, but there's not one that's going to be sort of that convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
because that one is tough. But let's get back to
a household income dropping, and then it was like the price of construction. There it is, that one.
Okay. All right. So, all right, here is. Let me pull up the dot camera so I can show you guys something that's kind of important. Let me figure out the best way to do this. Maybe it's going to come up. Oh, you need to sit in the middle of the room so the lights come on.
I know you saw me have that picture right here earlier.
It did come on?
Yeah, it did. Just check window again.
All right.
Nice.
Okay, can you guys see my dot camera as my other profile on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you pin it?
Miss Fields, should you be recording?
I am recording.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm recording. All right. Will you guys pin my dot camera to your screen so we can look at this? All right. So I'm going to show you. I've got some on it. All right. I'm going to draw 4. This marker doesn't work worth a crap. All right. Yeah, that looks better. This is so much easier when we're in person. I want to be back in person. All right, Via. We're going to get me 2 different color Sharpies up there. All right, so the question that was asked on the progress check says, assume household income has fallen dramatically. All right, so if household income falls, that's going to shift our demand curve to the left, right? Because people can purchase less things. So we're going to shift our demand curve to the left. Except for that marker doesn't work. It's there. Oh yeah, no. Throw that one away and give me another one. It's not blue. All right, so we're going to shift our demand curve to the left, right? Because household income's falling, says demand shifts left. And then the next part says the cost of construction materials for building new houses has increased. So if the price of inputs for building a house increases, then businesses will supply less. So that means that supply shifts here. So here we have a new equilibrium, right? But let's say that supply only shifted this far. This would have been our new equilibrium, right? What if demand only shifted this, whoa, that was ugly, this far? That would have been our new equilibrium. Okay, so if we shift both curves, demand to the left and supply to the left, we know that the quantity is going to be less because all of these new points are to the left of our old equilibrium. But here, this price is higher, this price is about the same, and this price is lower. So what we know is definitely that quantity will decrease, but price is indeterminate. We don't know what's going to happen to it because it depends on how far those curves shift. Does that make a little bit of sense? If we shift both curves to the right, so let's say that our demand goes way over here to the right, and our supply goes just right here to the right, we end up with a new equilibrium price that's up here, which is a price higher than our old equilibrium price. But if supply shifts way over here, we would end up with a price that is about the same or lower than our old equilibrium price. All we know, if both shift right, then our quantity is definitely greater, but our price is indeterminate. Because if both curves go this way, we know that our new equilibrium price is going to be somewhere to the right of the old quantity, our new quantity will be somewhat to the right of the old quantity, but our price could go up or down depending on how far the curves shift. Right? Then if they shift in opposite directions, so let's say here we've got supply going left and demand going right. Well, if supply goes to the left and demand goes to the right, here our quantity is the same. Here our quantity is less. So with this, we know that the price goes up, but the quantity is indeterminate. And if we do them the other way, if we shift supply to the right and demand to the left, we know that price goes down, but quantity is indeterminate. And you do just draw them, and you'll see it if you do that. Did that get like super confusing?
You went super fast.
I went super fast.
Yeah.
So if you want to write it shorthand ways, if we want to write it in a shorthand way, what we would say is if demand and supply both shift left, the quantity decreases, but price is indeterminate. If demand and supply both shift right, quantity increases, but price is indeterminate. If demand goes left and supply goes right, the price goes down and the quantity is indeterminate. And if demand goes right and supply goes left, the price goes up and the quantity is indeterminate. So in that particular question that was on the quiz, it's saying that demand shifted left and supply shifted left. Demand shifted left because there was a decrease in income. Supply shifted left because the inputs that it cost to produce houses increased. So both shifted left. So we know that the quantity of houses will decrease, but we don't know what the price of them will be.
Wait, can you like hold for like just a second?
Yeah.
So I can see if I can process this a little.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm recording this, by the way, so if you want to go back and listen to it and watch that part again in slow-mo,
I'll probably just do that then.
I'll post it. I don't think I put any questions on the test with double shifts. I'm 98% sure of it. So I don't think there are any questions on the test with double shifts because we didn't go into detail about it except for just you having it on this progress check. All right. I'm going to look at
Scarcity I missed 2 on scarcity too.
All right, I'm going to do this one on the T because half of the people who did it missed it. So I don't know if you still have my doc camera pinned. You may want to unpin it so you can go back to the Google to the progress check that I'm presenting. So let me know when you're ready. You should see a graph of supply and demand that says quantity of matcha tea. Yeah? Okay. So it says that matcha tea is primarily cultivated by Japanese farmers. Suppose that the tea grows in popularity as its health benefits. As its health benefits, namely a lower caffeine content, become known. And at the same time, the government reduces taxes imposed on Japanese tea farmers. This is another double shift. And so what is going to happen here is that if it grows in popularity, that means that the demand curve shifts to the right. So the demand curve will shift to the right. And then the government reduces taxes imposed on Japanese tea farmers, which means the supply curve will also shift to the right because taxes and subsidies play a role in supply. That's one of the determinants of supply. So if the Japanese tea farmers have to pay less taxes, they can use more money to grow tea instead of paying the government. And so both curves shift to the right. So we know that the quantity will rise when both curves shift to the right, but we don't know how much each curve shifts to the right. So the price could go down, stay the same, or go up. So the price will be indeterminate, but the quantity will increase. So that's another one of those double shifts, which is why that one's a difficult one.
Will we ever have one where like one shifts to the left and one shifts to the right?
Yes.
Okay, and then
when that happens, okay, if one shifts to the left and one shifts to the right, when that happens, you know what the price is, but not the quantity. So if they shift the same way, you know the quantity and not the price. If they shift in opposite ways, you know the price and not the quantity. And let's think about it realistically. All right, so take the graph out of your head, take the class out of your head, and let's think honestly about things. All right, if people don't want to buy stuff and demand decreases and nobody wants to buy it, and at the meantime the supply goes up, so there's more of them, but nobody wants to buy them, what's going to happen to the price? It's going to go down, right? Because if there's too much of it and nobody wants to purchase it, then we know the price is going to go down. And then the same thing, if everybody wants to buy something, but not a lot is being made, we know the price is going to go up. Think about like when game systems first come out and the supply is very, very low and the demand is very, very high and the price goes up, right? So, or if you're trying to buy like an old game that all of a sudden is popular again and there's very little supply of it, but lots of demand for it, that's going to drive the price up. So, but those double shifts, like I said, I don't think, I'm like 98% sure there's not a double shift on the test. So, and if there is, write down what I just put on the Google Doc. I mean, you guys have access to your resources. I mean, I can't prevent you from using your notes on this test. You know, so there's that. All right. I'm going to look for other ones that were. Okay, that's the one we just went over about the trade agreements. Okay, so here's one of those ones that's that tricky wording about whether it's demand or quantity demanded. And so it says, which of the following changes will increase the demand for bicycles? Right? If it says demand, it has to be anything except the price of bicycles, because the price change, that changes the quantity demanded. All right, so the demand is anything except C that will cause people to want to buy more bicycles. And so the one that it has to be is the increase in the price of scooters, which is a substitute good. So if you're going to the store and you're trying to decide, am I going to buy a bike or buy a scooter? And the price of a bike is $100 and a scooter is $200, you're going to buy the bike. And so if the price of scooters increases, more people will buy bikes. So the price of bicycles, that changes. I love when I try to write with these little pen things. The quantity demanded, not the demand. The change in the price of the substitute changes the whole demand. So that's going to be one of those that it's just going to take wrapping your head around. If the price of the product changes, it changes the quantity, not the whole demand. And if you want an example, I can show you. Going back to my little thing here. I thought there was one with a. Okay, so right here, if you're looking at this chart right here, you see that all of this is demand, because when you graph that whole thing, you're going to create a demand curve, all right? But each point on this, see, this is quantity demanded. So each one of these points is a quantity demanded. So if the price goes from $2 to $6, all it does is change the quantity demanded from $7.75 to $3.75. So it doesn't change the whole demand curve. It just changes where you are on that curve, moving from 775 to 375. So if something happened and all of a sudden at $1 people are buying 2,000 candy bars, I can't write with this little pad, and they're buying 500 at $8, that's changing the whole demand because it's going to create a whole new demand curve. So that's the difference between quantity demanded. Quantity is each point on a demand curve, and then the demand is the whole curve that can shift. Then we've got, all right, let's go back to, I wonder why it just deletes like some of what I write, but not all of it. That's weird. I'm not technologically savvy enough to figure out why it only saves part of it. All right, we did. Whoa, hello, we don't want my battery to die. That would be that. I don't know. I'm not looking at your camera. No, I don't know. I'm not looking at your microphone. I mean, I can't see it from my screen. She's so aggravating. My goodness. All right, that one we just did. We did this one earlier. The relationship between price and quantity demanded is a negative relationship illustrated by a downward sloping demand curve. A positive relationship would be the supply curve because it is an upward sloping positive relationship. Everybody got absolute advantage right. Good job. Almost everybody got comparative advantage right. Y'all stop me if you want me to go over one of these. I'm looking for the ones that most people missed. All right, let's look at this one because 4 of you missed this one. I haven't looked I'm not trying to call anybody out. I have no idea who missed what. I haven't even looked at anybody's names or grades or any of that stuff. All right. The PPC shows the types of opportunity costs involved in production. If it is bowed out, it is increasing opportunity costs. If it is a straight line, it is constant opportunity costs. So the first production possibilities curves is increasing opportunity costs, and the second one is constant. So what this means is if you were to label your little points here, it might be that the difference between this is 10, and the difference between that is 12, and the difference between that is 16, and the difference between that is 22 or something like that. So it's showing that there are more opportunity costs for each one thing that you gain. Whereas this, for every one thing you gain, you lose the exact same amount. Everybody's really quiet. The opportunity cost of building one swimming pool. So if you add one swimming pool, you lose 2 skating rinks because from 10 to 8 is 2. So your opportunity cost would be 2 skating rinks. Everybody got that one right. All right, the problem of scarcity. That's a big number for a scarcity one. Yes, is this one of the ones you were talking about scarcity?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through why the other ones are wrong. Okay, so human wants are insufficient. That's not even a real thing. But we do know that our wants are unlimited. Okay, so we have unlimited wants, but we have limited resources. So B has to be wrong because our resources are not unlimited, they are limited. We have limited amounts of land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, time, money, all of those things. Resources are efficient. Well, resources in themselves can't be inefficient or inefficient. It's how we put them together that's efficient or inefficient. Resources are expensive. That's a normative statement, right? I mean, expensive to one person is not the same as expensive to somebody else. So that is, it can't be tested. What we do know is resources have alternative uses. Okay, so that means that you have to make decisions based on how you're going to use those resources because you can't use them to make everything you want. You have to use them to make one thing or another. So that's why the answer there is E, is we have to make decisions. So the basic problem of scarcity is we have unlimited wants with limited resources. So we have to choose what we're going to use our resources to do or make or produce. Does that help? You can tell me no if it doesn't. Okay. All right. Are there any of those that I skipped through that I didn't answer that anybody wants me to go over?
Can you go over question 2?
Yes.
I don't really get that one.
Question 2, is that this one here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so stocks are not a resource. So our resources are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, and they are all scarce. And stocks aren't a resource.
I got you.
So that's why that one's not the correct answer. Or it is the correct answer because it's the wrong answer. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Any of the other ones you would like for me to go over?
I think that's it for me, at least.
Okay. Anybody on either of these, this study guide or this one, have any questions that you're unsure of? Or you just want me to go over it? Tell me what you want. I mean, I am at your disposal today.
Number 8 on the supply and demand study guide.
Okay. So this one?
Yeah, number 8 on that. I feel like I know. I just want to make sure I did it right.
Okay. So if you buy pizza and soda together, so let's think about this for a minute. This means that you only want the soda if you get the pizza, and you only want the pizza if you can have soda. If there's no soda, you don't want pizza, and if there's no pizza, you don't want soda. All right, so that's what we mean by complements. You primarily purchase them together. I shouldn't say only, but you primarily purchase them together. All right, so if the price of soda rises, all right, if the price of soda rises, are you going to buy more or less soda?
Less.
You're going to buy less soda, right? If you buy less soda, are you going to buy more or less pizza?
Less.
Less, right? So if you're buying less pizza, your demand for pizza will shift to the left. And so when the price of soda rises, nothing happens to the supply. The demand for pizza shifts to the left. The quantity, both supplied and demanded, because when you move it to the left, you end up with a new equilibrium quantity, right? And that new equilibrium quantity decreases, and then the price will also decrease. So when you shift it to the left and you draw that graph, the new demand curve shifted to the left, you see that your equilibrium quantity, which is both supplied and demanded, is to the left of the old quantity, so it's smaller, and that the price will also decrease.
Okay.
I mean, do you want me to graph it for you?
No, I got it. I was confused about whether supply was affected at all? Because I put down like all 4 of them affected, but it was only 3 of them.
Yeah,
which makes
so
sense.
the reason that that's in the question is so that it doesn't give away the fact that you're shifting your demand curve to the left. So that you have to think about which curve is shifting which way. So
Okay.
That's why it's asking about supply. It's not necessarily to be tricky. It's to make sure that you understand that oh, but I took her computer with her. It's to make sure that you understand which curve shifts which way.
All right.
Okay. Any of the other ones?
Thank you, Dad.
You want to come say hey to everybody?
He just rubbed his hair to make sure it looked good. He don't
Fix
have
my
hair.
hair. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
There's Mr. By his daddy.
The breakfast guy.
Yeah, he brought breakfast. Hey, turn your sound off. Thank you for bringing breakfast. All right. They do have a test today, so that's what we're reviewing for our test.
Thank you, Dad. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? I know y'all have more questions than that. Don't be shy.
I was in the bathroom, so I forgot.
Okay. There is one more thing that I need to show you that there is one question on the test about that you could sort of insinuate that this would happen, but I don't want to leave anything up to insinuation. I want to make sure that I'm clear about it. So I'm going to go back to my dot camera if you want to pin my dot camera again. I'm sorry I keep asking you to switch gears with the things. Well, I'm trying to be helpful, and I don't know that it's like the most thing. All right, so. Oh, if I do it that way, I'm presenting the dot camera. Look, you don't even have to pin it. I can present it like that. It takes me a minute to figure things out. Okay. All right. So we've talked about price floors and price ceilings, right? And so if we've got our supply and demand curves, and here's our happy equilibrium, we know that an effective price floor, so we'll start with a floor. A floor is set because the government thinks the equilibrium price is too low, right? And so if they believe that this price is too low, then they want to set a floor that is greater than that price. So they would want an effective floor would be up here, right? Because this floor would prevent you from getting down to that low price, right? But sometimes the government is not always the smartest, right? We can all agree that our government doesn't always make the best decisions in the world. And so what would happen if our government did something and said, here is the floor, you can't go below that amount? Any ideas?
The demand would think. Oh,
Sorry, Kevin.
no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
According to Jacob Clifford, nothing would happen, I believe.
Very good. All right, I like that you watched Jacob
Yeah, let's
Clifford.
go, John.
Look at you watching Jacob. I love Jacob Clifford. So nothing would happen. All right. So why would nothing happen? If they set this as the floor, why is nothing going to happen? Well, the reason that they set this floor is because they think this price is too low. Well, this is the equilibrium where everybody's happy. So if they set a price lower than that, you're just going to stop at equilibrium anyway. You would never need to get that low. So an effective price floor is only above the equilibrium. And the same thing goes for effective price ceilings. So if you've got your equilibrium price here, right? And we know that an effective ceiling is because they believe that the equilibrium price is too high, right? The ceiling is because You're good.
I'll come back. I thought you were talking about.
No, we got a test today.
Oh, I got you. All right.
Yeah,
I'll
a
see
virtual
about that.
test.
Thank you. I just had a question about.
Go look in the workers. All right, the ceiling is because the government believes the equilibrium price is too high. I'm sorry for my handwriting is like terrible there. So, but the ceiling is because the government believes that the equilibrium price is too high. So they would set the ceiling here, right? Because you're trying to raise the roof and you're all sad because you can't get up here to your happy place. But if they did something dumb, like set the ceiling here, well, you would never even go up to that ceiling because you would stop right here because that's where you're happy anyway. Right? Mm-hmm. So an effective ceiling is below equilibrium and an effective floor is above equilibrium because it doesn't make sense to do it the other way because you just end up at equilibrium. And there is one question on the test that says that. One. Out of
30.
Yeah, there's like 30 questions. So.
That's why our econ teacher is a group.
It says, on my end, it says 20, but some of them have multiple parts. So I'm counting those as multiple questions. All right. What else?
The only other thing I can think of like would be like the spinach one where it was like Popeye like was more poor or something. He had like less money earned, so he started getting more spinach. And I was like, that's an inferior good then, right? Like,
all right, so a normal good. All right, think about this. For almost every good in a normal life situation, right? If you make more money, you're going to buy more stuff, right? If you make more money, you might buy another house. You might buy another refrigerator. You might buy more clothes. You're going to buy more groceries. You're going to buy more stuff if you make more money. That's the law of demand for a normal good. Every once in a while, there are things called inferior goods, which mean if you make more money, you're going to buy less of those products. Okay, let's think about this for a second. Do really, really rich people eat Vienna sausages and ramen noodles? No, right? So those would be inferior goods. The more money you make, the less you're going to buy of Vienna sausages and ramen noodles.
What, does that apply the other way? Like the less money you make, the more of it you buy?
Yeah, so sure. For most normal goods, if you make less money, you're going to buy less stuff. But for inferior goods, if you make less money, you're going to buy more of them. So in months where I feel really, really poor, guess what? We'd be eating some ramen noodles. On months where I feel like we've got some money in the bank, we're not eating ramen noodles, right? So yes, if you make less money, you will buy more of the inferior good. So I always think Spam, potted meat, Vienna sausages, ramen noodles. You know, I don't think that very wealthy people are eating those on a regular basis, like people who are poorer. Yeah. So that's what we mean by inferior good is the things you'll buy less of if you make more money. Like steak would be a normal good. You'll buy more steak if you make more money, and you will not buy as many Vienna sausages. So that's what we mean by Popeye. So if his income goes down and he buys more spinach, it's an inferior good. I'm trying to look and see if there are any of these that you want me to answer while I'm going, while I'm here. So like here, if we can go through these really quickly. This is the market for minivans. If people have more children, then the demand for minivans would increase, right? Because the more kids you have, the more likely you are to buy a minivan. A strike by steel worker raises steel prices. This would be the supply decreases because the input is more expensive. One of the resources you need to produce minivans increases. If there's a new automated machinery to produce minivans, this would mean the supply would increase because you can make more minivans more faster. Because you now can do it automatically. The price of a sports utility vehicle rises, so that would be a substitute. You could either buy a minivan or an SUV, and if the price of SUVs increases, you would demand more minivans. And if the stock market crashes and you have less income, your demand for a new car would decrease. And these are similar questions just about sweatshirts instead of minivans. I'm looking to see if there's any of these that might be tricky. Those are all just moving your supply and demand curve. So here, if we were doing this one, and we've got our supply and demand graph. Whoa, that was a really high supply. Why fields? That's disgusting.
It was a normal body fee.
Function.
Yeah.
Okay. So the government's decided that the free market price, that's our equilibrium price, which is, this one here, whatever this price is, let's say $2. All right. If they think that is too low and they want a binding price floor in the cheese market, then our price floor would be here. And so that is going to cause a surplus of cheese because our quantity supplied, and we know that this point is quantity supplied because it matches up with the supply curve. So our quantity supplied, I can't draw a Q for some reason. Our quantity supplied is greater than our quantity demanded. And our quantity demand is there, and that's why we have a surplus, because there's more supply than there is demand. So that was the last one. Anything else? No one wants to talk to me?
If you also check this one.
Check yes or no.
Yeah.
I love her. She's so awesome. Somebody talk to me.
Talk to me, baby.
Nobody wants to talk to me?
Can you go over again how to do number 7 on the unit review?
I have to have a talk with Yesh.
Let's see which one that is, Carly.
I think when we did it in class, like it's on the AP website. I think when we did it in class, we went over it.
Oh, on the
Hey, Carly,
Hey, Baya.
add me on Snap. JK.
this one.
Please don't.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to do it on the dot camera again, so let me get myself set up for it. So what we need to understand is that this is telling us that China and Malaysia, why are my pens not working very well? Oh, because that's the one that needs to be thrown away.
Or you can't afford pins, just like you can't afford steak.
All right. China and Malaysia can both make trucks and they can both make coffee. Like this, you would think that these examples would make a lot more sense if it's like they can make trucks or they can make cars, but whatever, because you're not really using the same resources in making trucks and coffee, but whatevs. So let me do this. Okay. I messed up. Where is it there? Okay, so we've got 250 and 50 and 300 and 100. All right, let me go back here. Okay, so now it's not like in super duper focus. All right, so what it's asking us to figure out is who has comparative advantage in which product. All right, so we know that, we can figure this out easily. Who has, oh no, we can't. Who has comparative advantage, who has absolute advantage in trucks?
Malaysia.
All right, so absolute advantage in trucks is Malaysia. And then who has absolute advantage in coffee?
Malaysia.
All right, so we know that because those numbers are just bigger. All right, so we don't have to do any math, we don't have to figure anything out. But if we want to figure out who has the comparative advantage, we need to compare these on a one-to-one basis. So we got to figure out the opportunity cost. So we want to know China's opportunity cost for one truck, and we want to know Malaysia's opportunity cost for one truck, and we want to know, I'm getting down here where you can't see very well, China's opportunity cost for one coffee, and that's going off the screen. All right, Malaysia's, sorry, my handwriting is so bad when I start writing fast. I can write pretty when I want to, or when I go slowly. All right, so if we're trying to figure out China's opportunity cost for one truck, we need to make trucks equal 1, and we do that by dividing this by 250. Right? And so whatever we do to this side, we also have to do to this side. So we're going to divide both sides by 250. And so 50 divided by 250 is 1/5 of a coffee. Right? And here, if we want to make this one, we're going to divide by 300 and this by 300. So Malaysia's is 1. So their opportunity cost for one truck is 1/3 a ton of coffee. So who has the lower opportunity cost for producing one truck? That would be China, because 1/5 is less than 1/3. So China should make trucks. All right. If we want to do it in reverse and figure out who should make coffees, I'm just going to change color pens here. China's opportunity cost for one coffee. So if we divide this by 50 to get 1, and this by 50, that would be 5 coffees. This is going to be 3 coffees, because you divide this by 100 and this by 100. So one coffee is 3 trucks. So China's opportunity cost for making one coffee, they're giving up 5 trucks to make that one coffee. Malaysia's giving up 3 trucks to make the one coffee. So Malaysia has a lower opportunity cost for coffee. So Malaysia should make coffee. And if we wanted to know our terms of trade, China will trade one truck between 1/3 and 1/5 a ton of coffee. So that's our terms of trade. So if we go back to our thing here, which of the following terms of trade are mutually beneficial for the two countries? 1 ton of coffee for 4 trucks. So that would be, if you're looking at it here, they will give up 1 coffee. So it's asking coffee for trucks. Malaysia will give up 1 coffee for between 3 and 5 trucks. So 1 to 4 would be a beneficial term of trade. Do you see that, Carly, where I get those numbers?
So basically, it had to be between 3 and 5. So 4 was.
Yes.
And is it ever going to be like it has to be between like 10 and 20 or anything like that, like a bigger jump?
It could be, but usually when we start getting down to when you start getting down, you won't have like a humongous number. But yes, it could possibly be.
All right.
So tell me what else you need. Hello. There we go. Tell me what else you need. Tell me where I can help you.
When is the test due?
By midnight tonight. Okay, so the test is in Schoology. It's in there already. It released at 9. I will show you. So your test open at 9. It's in Schoology. If you're using your if you're at home, I mean, obviously you're using your personal computers at home. When you go in, if you're trying to log in, you're going to go to SSO login. And when you do that, hit Crisp County School District. I've given you instructions right here. And log in with your school Gmail account, and it should log you in. The test will close at 11:59, and you have about 2 hours to complete it. So there's like 30 questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Okay, you're welcome. I don't know who you were thanking, but you're welcome. So, but yeah, so I put a time limit on it because I'm not going to prevent you from using your notes, watching videos or whatever, but you're not going to have unlimited time to go and search for answers. So you'll have enough time to look for things that will refresh you, but not to look for things to learn brand new. So there's that. I don't know. Some of you have a class at 9:45. I can keep the Google Classroom open until 9:45. I have a class at 9:45 as well. I can keep it open. So, like if we were taking this test in class, I would be walking around. I can't help with like question. Like I'm not going to answer a vocabulary term that's like what is land or what is labor. But if you have like there's a word you don't know, I can help you, or I can help you with what the question is asking. If that makes sense. So I can't help you with like the test, but I can help you figure out what the question is asking you or what it's looking for. So that's what I do in class. And so I'm willing to do that on Google Classroom. If you guys, can stay open. I know some of you have Spanish or another class. Some of you have a college class. I can open the Google Meet if we want to come to a time frame that you would like for me to open it later to be available for everybody. Let me know what you want me to do. Because I'm figuring that not everybody's going to want to start their test right now. But I will.
What do you mean by later? Like later is in tomorrow or?
No, later is in later today.
Oh.
So like if you want me to get back on, like open up the Google Meet from like 12 to 1 and just so you can pop in and ask me something, if you're planning on taking your test during that time, or if you want me to do it, you just let me know. Or if you just want to email me. But my problem is that if you email me, if your test is timed and you email me, I can't guarantee that I'm going to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to not be able to help you.
All right, Mom Mary.
Yes, baby.
You said we only have 2 hours to do it?
Yeah.
That ain't bad.
I mean, in class, I actually took like 5 questions off the legit test, and we would only have an hour and a half in class to do it anyway. So I actually increased your amount of time and reduced the number of questions from the test that we would have had we been in person.
All right.
So, and in class, you wouldn't have been able to use resources. So there's that. All right. Well, do you want me to? You want me to just open the Google Meet back up around like from 11 to 1? 11, I mean, and just be on here if anybody wants to take, or is that just not a good time for anybody?
That sounds good to me.
That sounds good to you?
I think that'll work for me.
All right, so I'll just have it open, and if you want to pop in, I may be in and out, because it's my planning and lunch and all that stuff. But yeah, I'll just have it open from like just go in from like 11 to 1, and then if you want to come in, I'll just answer it. What if you have a procedural question? Okay.
See.
Okay. All right. That works. If you have any questions, if you're looking at material before 11, and you have a question about anything, send me an email and I'll try to get back with you before 11. Okay.
All right.
All right. And if you have a question and you're scared to ask, stay on here and I'll help you out. So otherwise, I will be available at 11 for you.
Is today Thursday or Friday?
Today is Thursday.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we don't have to come tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we got new stuff tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, we're starting Unit 2 tomorrow.
sad.
Yep. So
Oof.
we sure are.
And they haven't said anything about us not going back to school yet, have they?
I haven't heard anything. So
as of right now, it's still the 25th.
yeah. As of right now, we're coming back Monday. So I want everybody in person, but I want everybody to stay safe. So we'll just play it by ear and see what happens. So
Do we got to wear masks at school?
I don't know you will be strongly encouraged to wear masks. I don't know if they will have a mandate or not.
All right, that's all I needed. Hasta mañana.
Hasta 11 o'clock.
11.
So
Okay.
all right. Bye. Hi, Mary. Are you still on here?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I walked off for a second.
That's okay. I didn't know if you had a question or something and you needed me.
No, ma'am. I'm good. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to open it back up at 11. If you have questions while you're taking your test, if you want to take your test at that time.
I think I'm going to study some more and try to take it later.
Okay. If you have any questions, email me.
Yes, ma'am. I will.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.